Welcome to Plat Chat Head to Head, where my mic is about the size of my head, and Josh's head is the biggest one we have.
Yep.
Today's topic is something that broke this week. The Overwatch League, they announced some changes to hero pools. Maybe not the changes everybody expected, but hero pools will now be judged by the competitive ladder, the upper echelons of the competitive ladder. I don't think it was specified where or what the cutoff is. And those will determine the hero pools for Overwatch League, Overwatch Contenders, Open Division, and the actual game. Do you like these changes?
I do like the change in that the Overwatch the game will now have the same hero pools as Overwatch the league. And I think that that's such an important thing to have. It's been kind of a developer philosophy, and it should be in every game that I've ever heard of, that you should have your competitive play be recognizable to the people that are actually playing the game. You know,
Yes.
when you go into your game, you want to feel like you're playing the same game as the pros. You might not be as good as the pros, but you don't want to see some kind of pro strat and not be able to replicate it. If you see, some guy just absolutely dominating, or some specific smoke on CS, or some trick shot in Rocket League or whatever, you want to try and bring it out in your own games. You want to be able to play the same maps, you want to be able to play the same heroes, you want to be able to play the same meta, because that is all about the interactions that happen, and that's good. The game is recognizable between the pro and the Overwatch League level, and it also lets the players practice as well. They can actually go into ranked and play the heroes that they need to play that week.
I agree. The game needs to match the league needs to match the game. I just wish it was the game matching what the league was doing than the league matching what the game was doing. I think in even traditional sports, pro sports, the little leagues and the colleges and whatnot follow those rules. They don't. It's not those rules kind of get brought up. It's those rules are the ones that are followed. You look at a game like League of Legends, where competitive play and the esports are very similar. I know there's some band stages that go on for the pro play, but it's the same game.
Yeah.
Same with Counter-Strike, whatnot. And the pro game dictates what goes on in the game, because with a lot of games now, most of the people who watch are playing the game.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no reason that the game should influence what's going on with the professional play. It should be the game that everybody stays home and watches. In terms of Overwatch League, whether it be Overwatch League, Counter-Strike, whatever, that should dictate how the game looks and operates. Call of Duty does a really good job with that, where the pros set a rule set with the developers early on in the year, and then that rule set just gets copied and pasted into their ranked play, and that's it. It's dictated from the top down in terms of what the rules are and how it should be played. This is a little bit different because it's a modification of a system, where the system in the game was getting a little crazy, where they were just banning like different selections of heroes at a time.
Yeah. Like four whatever, 4 DPS.
I think the argument that would make the most sense from your side is that this will potentially change the game in a way where we won't see the same hero pools every other week in terms of Overwatch League. And I say that because we were getting to a spot where we were going to like seesaw like metas, where like one week you'd have this, the next week you'd have that, and then you'd go back to the week 1 meta, then back to the week 2 meta, and it was going to go back and forth. This has the ability to either make no difference at all, determining on what happens in a week, or it could make a big difference depending on how things shake up. So I just wish it would follow Overwatch League, maybe be a little bit longer in terms of how long the hero pools ran for. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks.
I would like to see the 2-week thing. I definitely agree with that. I think that that's something that they could do now as well, though, because previously, because things weren't aligned at all, it was very difficult for the devs, I'm imagining, to be able to get balanced data as well, because you're looking at 2 completely different data samples. One is Overwatch League running a certain set of heroes, one is ranked running a certain other set of heroes. Very confusing for everybody. Open division teams, very confusing for them as well, because they were playing with the ladder bands, but then if you got moved up into contenders, you were playing with the Overwatch League bands, all over the place. So I like the consistency. I do think that there are certainly concerns with it being defined by the game and what this cutoff is for high play rates. I mean, high level competitive play.
Do we influence what happens in Overwatch League now?
I mean, I have no idea. And I doubt as well that the developers will ever release that information, because it seems like the kind of stuff that...
I don't think they should.
It seems like the kind of stuff that could get gamed or...
Nasty. It could get nasty.
Or, yeah, like... by them putting the label high-level competitive play, you know, people in Diamond might get pissed off if it's Masters and above. People in Plat are going to get pissed off if it's Diamond and above, this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that there is definitely an issue here with the way that the game is going to dictate how the top level of play works. And I didn't even realize that at first when I tweeted.
We both did it.
This,
we both were talking in our chat. Like, I was like, oh, this is great. And then I went back and I read the article. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. And there is some kind of algorithm about how things are going to work as well. Listen, I don't exactly know how it's going to work, but when you take a step back, the big picture is just going to be that rotating hero bans are going to happen. And that is going to, broadly speaking, not affect the Overwatch League meta most of the time. Because we've already seen that even when you directly try to ban the heroes that are played a lot of the Overwatch League meta, it still doesn't affect the meta unless you hit a certain specific group of heroes.
That's what I was going to say next is, did they get enough testing of this system in the game with the way it is and with the way it's in Owl? Because the Owl banning 4 heroes a week, it hasn't shifted the meta drastically. It's kind of been similar between weeks, depending on who's in and who's out.
Yeah. I think broadly speaking, we've had Dive, which was a big shift. The Soldier Tracer stuff, that was a big shift. But then every week that May was available,
May Reaper.
We've basically just been playing May. Now, actually, 1 week May was available, right? But because I can't even remember why Dive became meta, but May was available that week, right?
Yeah. Don't really remember why.
I can't remember why, honestly.
It blurs because it's...
it was Reinhardt. Reinhardt was banned, so you couldn't play May compositions. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but here's the thing. I think because...
But did they hit enough heroes, though?
No, I don't think so.
I think you could have...
But here's the thing. Unless you ban there's one meta composition, right? There is always one composition that is some small percentage better than the other compositions. That's how metas develop at the pro level, because the pro players are good enough to squeeze out that extra couple of percent from whatever composition that is. Unless you ban some of the fundamental heroes of that comp, like the Reinhardt, like the May, from that, you're not going to shift things. But what you are going to do, and this is one of the reasons why I think this could be positive, is that you are going to have a very clear picture of which heroes need nerfing and banning.
Yes,
nerfing,
absolutely.
Altering, this kind of stuff. That has been a completely muddy picture while Hero Pulse has been in the game previously.
I think they did a bunch of that testing kind of silently through the game. In the week that they banned all the hit scan and left Ashe and Pharah in, and then the week after they were like, wait, so we left one hit scan in the game and people still didn't play Pharah? It's like then I was like, people still didn't play Ashe. That those 2 heroes, I don't think it's a coincidence they got adjusted really quickly the week after. I think to make sweeping changes week to week in the meta, you would have probably needed to do something like 1 tank, 4 damage dealers, 1 support. And I think you could have seen big changes weekly. I think there are enough damage dealers to potentially do it. But I would have liked to see them do some extended testing in the game. Like, it just seemed like they were just kind of going about things really random in the game, where it was like 1 week it was a bunch of DPS and other people. Then it was like a bunch of tanks and like 2 supports. Like, I would love to know the reasoning behind all of that and what they learned out of that. Because I think having more damage dealer temp bans, whatnot, would have changed the game way more. And I think it would have you wouldn't have hurt the tanks or the supports as hard in some weeks. Because there are some weeks where now players are going to jump into rank and just not be able to play really what they want. I mean, I'm sure you felt that way in some aspects.
I mean, specifically when they banned all of the hit scan stuff as well, it just felt like your choice was reduced enormously. Yeah, it did. It felt bad. The same with 2 supports being banned as well, especially because it was, I think, Anna and Moira, who both fill fairly similar roles on a team. It just felt really bad. It felt like your choice was being removed from what you were able to play. But I think a lot of what's going to happen now is people watching the pro level and mirroring the pro level, and that now puts a lot of impetus and it puts the ball in the devs' court. They need to make the changes to whatever the meta composition is, otherwise we will have just the same stuff being run constantly in these high-level games.
Do you still believe in the system overall?
I don't think I ever did really believe in the system overall.
Gotcha.
I didn't really want hero pulls in right from the beginning, but I also didn't really want 2-2-2 in. Like, I was a bit of a stickler against the change stuff. So I just don't really like anything that reduces the choice of the players. I think that trying to alter the balance of the heroes was a better way of trying to achieve the same kind of changes.
I think if hero pool stays for now, and I think if they get a ton of data of what people like to play, what people don't like to play, and there could be adjustments for the future in terms of Overwatch with, let's say, new things come with Overwatch 2 is like, I think Jeff said in an interview with PC Gamer, I think I put in the Plat chat head-to-head, I can read the kind of topic, but he said something along the lines of, in the PC Gaming article, he said that a lot of good things came out of their 3-2-1 experiment, that they actually liked a lot of stuff that came out of that, but that they would not want to push a feature that large in 2020. But he mentioned that Overwatch 2 is a good time to reset the way the game plays.
Yeah.
I could see hero pools being used as a pseudo test of what people like to play, what they don't like to play. How can we balance this? Can we change these heroes in any way to make it more engaging for people?
Yeah.
And then maybe hero pools doesn't come with us all the way into the future. Maybe it's just a new list of heroes with different types of abilities and play that are more centered towards what people want.
Yeah, definitely. I think everything that you do in 2020 has to be with the idea that Overwatch 2 is going to come out at some point fairly shortly. Like, it's
hopefully
it's on the horizon at the very least. So
it's Blizzard soon.
Yeah, Blizzard soon. You've got to be looking towards that though, and
yes,
kind of thinking about a bit of a transition period and figuring out things and learning things for that release. His one final thought to close on though, Matt, is that the idea that a lot of people have about this, and this honestly is more like your argument than mine, but it's just hit me, that a lot of this idea of the high level gameplay is normally dictated by what the pros actually play. So a lot of people that I saw on Twitter discussing this change were like, it's not going to make that much difference anyway because GM players tend to play the meta. The thing is, with the Owl games happening on the weekend, you're going to have 5 days of not seeing any Owl games where you're just playing whatever you think is better in ranked. Yeah. And that is what's going to decide the next week's
yes, that's
picks for Owl. The Owl matches, you're never going to be able to react to them because they happen at the end of the week.
Right. The meta doesn't get played in ranked until people see it in Owl. That's the issue here. Is that, but now the people will just be like, oh well, here are the bans. What do we think the meta is? The general population, and then they're going to be like, well, I don't fucking know. I'm going to play Ryan Zarya because I fucking love Ryan Zarya. Like, and then they're just like, and then what kind of games do we get now? Does it just stay the same because there's no heroes being impacted?
Probably.
I'm really curious to see how week 1 goes with it.
Yeah.
And then I think for my closing, I think in general, it's good that it matches the game. I just probably would have liked to see it happen in a different way with the game following what happens in Overwatch League. I think it would have been a little bit easier. Although I do think there is a world in which Overwatch League, the bans would have went back and forth for weeks at a time, and you would have had a lot of repeats, and maybe people playing the game would not have been as happy.
Yo, bless you.
Yeah, bless you. Everybody says bless you in the comments. But that's gonna be it for our argument today on hero pools. Do you like them? Do you not like them? What do you think of the new change? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time.